Hello, beautiful people. Samson Williams here. We're at our final video for this little impromptu series on at the top of the corporate ladder is entrepreneurship. I made this first video way back before the Rona in like 2018, put it on the internet, and people are still asking me, yo, I 100%, they're not asking me, they tell me at the top of the corporate ladder is entrepreneurship. We're going to review this right quick before we jump into mentoring. Let me share my screen with you. And thanks for all the questions and comments and the folks sliding into my DMs. I love having that conversation with you all because you're trying to make that determination of where you're going. So, with no further ado, the top of the corporate ladder is entrepreneurship. You can climb up the corporate ladder, but when you get to the top, you got to get the fuck off. Sometimes it's the golden parachute, sometimes they just boot you off. It's up to you to figure out how to build your own parachute or where you're going to land, because it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden deceleration into reality. So there's a couple ways that you can pivot if you're at the corporate ladder and thinking about getting off. You can start over, you can go to a startup. Entrepreneurship, I do not recommend that to anyone. It's so difficult. Entrepreneurship is so difficult. I only recommend it to my enemies. So come join me. You can become an investor, or in today's video, you can become a mentor. So with no further ado, let's talk about the benefits of becoming a mentor. I actually love this. We all need mentors. So let's change colors right quick. Number one, exposure. I love this term. Like, what is exposure, Samson? You get, as a mentor, you can be exposed to all the riskiest fuck businesses and behaviors of entrepreneurs, business people, and startup life without actually having that much skin in the game. So, hey, number one, exposure. You're like a voyeur of entrepreneurs. So you can make those, you can take down the notes and learn those lessons learned and be like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Don't do that. Here's some things that you can mentor people on to lessen their speed towards failure. By the way, everyone fails at starting a business the first time out. So don't worry about if you fail the first couple of times, because you're only a failure if you give up. The second benefit of being a mentor is opportunities. Opportunities to do what? To invest. Because when you're being a mentor, you start off by investing your time, you invest your energies, you invest your network, you invest your expertise. At some point, if you like the startup, if you like the business, you might actually become an investor, but you've done a little bit more due diligence. Sometimes you're just going to invest in the person because you like them, because you believe in them, because they are just a titan of awesomeness, because they have the resilience, the perseverance, the determination, that drive not to give up. And that's actually what you're investing in. Because in business, you might need to pivot. I pivoted so many times, I forget which direction I'm going other than up. I always like to pivot forward. So number one benefit of mentoring, you get exposed to amazing startups. There's a startup community wherever you are. Google it, look it up on Eventbrite. Um, there's accelerators, incubators. There's thousands of startups looking for people to be mentor them who are in specific business verticals, because they want to suck down your expertise and in turn give you that positive energy that you're making a difference. You feel so great. You're like, oh my goodness, I actually know something that people want to know, because you're seasoned. You've got years, you've got decades in the game. Number one is exposure. Number two, you're doing due diligence. Let's face it. You're running through these startups, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies, you're building your network. You don't have as much risk, but you're looking for those opportunities where, in addition to investing your time, your expertise, you may also invest your money. So consider that. The third thing about mentoring, I call it my Forbes 75 under 75. Forbes 75 under 75. This is actually a hashtag. Because the reason it's a hashtag is because I like older mentors. They actually know something. They've been around the block. They've got socks older than me. And if you're part of that Forbes 75 under 75, that's phenomenal. If you've retired and you're thinking about mentoring, that's phenomenal. one, keeps your brain active, gives you something to look forward to, introduce you to young folks who have all this energy. I'm super old. I'm old as dirt. I'm like 40 something. But then there's all the 18, 20, 30-year olds, 35, 30 something year olds who are just now thinking about, oh my God, my job sucks. I'm going to get off this corporate ladder. What am I going to do? And they bring a different energy. They bring a different perspective. I personally, I look for older people to be mentors because they've probably been in business twice as long as I've been alive. Those are some amazing mentors because they've been around the block and they know a few things. So that is another reason, another way that you can pivot off the corporate ladder. Mentoring is also, it reduces your risk profile because you get to do a little bit more due diligence on the businesses that you might invest in. So that's it for the moment. It's not an exhaustive list of things. I don't have anything to sell you at the moment. I was telling people once upon a time, I used to work at Fannie Mae where I did something. I don't know if you can see that. It might show up. Anyway, I used to work at Fannie Mae. I learned a lot of things when I left, most of them how I was not engaging my network, using my network of friends, colleagues to move myself forward. So I had to start all the way over. And now that I'm older, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I get to invest in businesses and mentor businesses. I'm sharing this knowledge with you because at the top of the corporate ladder is entrepreneurship. You're going to find yourself as a business owner, even if you're just a consultant. That's actually a business, but you got to figure out what does that look like, and more importantly, you got to figure out where do you get your first client. It always comes down to how do I get my first dollar. If you can't make the first dollar, don't worry about the other 999 million. They're not going to come if you can't make that first dollar. So that's it for the moment. I might write a book about this. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them down below, shoot me a DM. And of course, I'm going to leave you with this one thought. When you're 1 in a million on a planet of 7 billion, it means there's 7,000 doppelgangers out there just like you. You are will always be your biggest competition. Your clones will be your biggest competitions. There's 7,000 versions of you running out there. They're spread around globally. So as you climb up the top of the corporate ladder, as you think about getting off the corporate ladder, you've got to determine, one, how are you going to pivot? And two, how are you going to be clever about that pivot to outcompete the 7,000 versions of you who are worthy adversaries? That's it for the moment. Don't give up. You only fail when you stop trying. Till next orbit, see you guys later. Peace.